Some great keynote comments from Dr. Karim at Gulf Capital. I'm now going to invite Virginia Reinecke, who is the head of commercial products at Mastercard Middle East and Africa, to say a few introductory comments as well. Now, Mastercard is our SME payment partner for the Gulf Capital SME Insight Summit, and we're delighted to be able to work with Mastercard. Virginia is going to say a few comments about thriving through digital. So welcome, Virginia. Thank you very much for being with us today, and over to you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Here to talk about this super important topic. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm just going to share my screen. Just give me a moment. Okay. Can everyone see? How's that? Everyone seeing?
I cannot see your shared screen at the moment. Nabil, if you are able to, can you see that, Nabil?
Okay, so thank you. And again, thanks for having me. So really, really delighted to be here talking about this important topic. I think it's fair to say that SMEs have already had a tough job. And the pandemic is really subjecting small businesses to even greater challenges, some of which may have lasting impacts. However, predicting what will happen next is almost impossible, as we've never lived through this. And what we know through the first half of the year from our spending patterns is that spending was dramatically impacted. And very similar to what Dr. Karim mentioned is we've been reviewing the spend patterns and categorizing them in our own 4-phase framework to really help us predict what will happen next. And we do believe we're in a stage of normalization, and this comes with governments relaxing around some of the restrictions, and we see the spend rebounding, although not evenly. And there is a prominence in areas that you'd expect, like healthcare and personal care and some entertainment, but there is still a long way to go. And so in the meantime, we focus our efforts on where we can provide support and control the output. And it's very important to the region that we do this. We should be proud that within the region, on a measurement of doing business in 2018, 2019, that we had 6 of the top 10 markets for doing business in the Middle East Africa region. And so this demonstrates just how critical SMEs are to the region. And if we look at the UAE, 95% of SMEs are making up the companies that exist, and just slightly more across the Arab world, with 96% of all companies being registered SMEs. And the direct impact on the workforce is definitely seen. And so there is much we can do to support you, those of you on the phone, to get through this most difficult time. And so for sure, we've seen the world change the way we live and the way we transact. And for us, it really starts with consumer. The pandemic has changed consumer needs, which is forcing businesses to take some very important decisions around redirection of strategy and adapting to new processes. And right at the heart of what we do is to continue to understand those consumer trends. And for sure, there's been a surge in the need for touchless experiences, meaning people are moving from cashless to contactless for obvious reasons around health and social distancing. In Q1, we saw on spend a growth of 40% globally on contactless payments. Again, Dr. Karim mentioned this acceleration is by far greater than anything we'd seen prior to this phase. And contactless can mean different things for different people. For some, it's the way they and their family interact physically at the store. It might be tapping with a card or with a phone, but it also could be online, and the comfort they get from conducting their purchasing from the comfort of their home. And whilst the UAE was and is on a great path toward the elimination of cash, we still have a significant amount of cash that was exchanging hands and taking place. And whilst these changes and these expectations to a consumer might seem quite small, the impact to a business, and one that is not established and ready for this change, it can be very great. And so during the last couple of months, as we've interacted with businesses in the region, we believe that there's areas that you need to start thinking about, because this trend, the consumer moving contactless, is unlikely to go away. In fact, 83% of respondents in UAE say they will continue transacting this way following the pandemic. And online is also unlikely to go away. So people want businesses to be open. They need an online scenario, and they want it to be safe and secure. And so this has created a forced adoption, really, for those of you on the phone, a forced adoption of new technologies. And it's top priority that you attract those customers back in and continue attracting them to return, because that's how we help get the sales back up to the levels that they were. And so we think it's super important that you continue to ensure that you can accept contactless payments and adopt contactless payments, and make sure that the sales are coming back in. I think the conversations we've had with businesses over the last few months is that there has been a phase of, whilst there are no sales, maintaining cost, maintaining operations, to make sure that you're able to and better positioned to operate post the pandemic. So focusing on these needs and trends are the single most important thing for us right now, and ensuring as an industry that we can accelerate the way that you can access these technologies and these services to put you and your customers first. And so how do we do that? Well, we don't do it alone. There are many stakeholders that are key to the ecosystem. And whilst we are committed to ensuring our technology and data and our network is available to help you inform and enable, it's also by joining forces with the other participants in the ecosystem. Governments and the banks and the SME associations are all really important to this. And I could be here all day referencing the areas in which the government is already focused on digitization and support and solutions that they are building. We see a lot of this happening around the import-export trade, and where small businesses really seen as that pivotal point in which we can really move the needle on financial inclusion and increasing prosperity. Then we have our fintechs. So companies like ourselves and the banks, we appreciate that the level of innovation and speed of innovation that's needed must happen as a part of a partnership with fintechs that are existing. There are great organizations, including the Abu Dhabi-based fintech Hub 71. They're a tech ecosystem. We're partnering with them, and their role is really bringing global fintechs, providers who exist in other parts of the world, and bringing them to the region to make this stuff come to life for you. And our own internal Start Path program, where we seek to keep up to speed on the type of companies that exist and ensure that we are partnering with the right players to bring solutions, has shown us that this strategy does work. And we already have some who are operating in the region, working with bank partners. Some of you might be working with some of these organizations today, but they are key to growth and sustainability for the SME segment. And the final piece of the ecosystem that we think is really valuable is to keep in mind entrepreneurship. Again, Dr. Karim spoke about this quite a lot. Each year we study an index of entrepreneurs, but focused really on the women-led entrepreneurs. And it allows us to to really track and view what's happening in this space. And interestingly, across the 58 markets that we do this in, there is a huge trend of women who are opening successful businesses faster than ever before. But unfortunately, we still believe there's a lot of support that they need in receiving funding and receiving, financial training and education support to ensure that they can carry on doing what they do so well. And so we know the trends, and we have the partners in the ecosystem who are openly and passionately, like us, putting up their hand to support. And we have a goal. Beyond what we do today, we have a global commitment as a company to bring 1 billion consumers into the digital economy. And as a part of that, bring 50 million SMEs active as far as receiving solutions, utilizing technology and products that can help them to grow and to scale. And the focus of our effort really can be bucketed into the 3 pillars that we mentioned here. The first one is around helping you get paid. We believe at Mastercard that the root of cash flow issues comes from small businesses waiting for payment. Now, that may be from a consumer or it may be from another business. But if we can help accelerate the migration of manual payment processes like cash and move it on to card-based payments, we can help accelerate you to get paid, meaning we can stimulate that cash flow environment in a greater way. And we do this through different strategies. In one way, we facilitate the ecosystem to make sure that the low value payment that is usually associated with cash can be conducted at the right price, at the lower cost level needed for you as a business, and to stimulate that digital payments happen. We do this in conjunction with our bank partners, and thanks in some way to the pandemic, this is happening on a greater scale. So getting paid is a big focus. The next thing we focus on is what we call helping you to get digital. And so we believe SMEs who can do this correctly and put these solutions in place will have the greatest impact in surviving and to meet their customers where the customers' needs are. You might be thinking, but what does get digital mean to you? There's a lot of change associated with this. If you are moving online for the first time, if you are having to sell products online and you've never done it before, how do you do this? And how do you do this quickly? And how do you do it safely for your customer and for yourself, and to make sure that no one's security around purchasing is compromised? And then there are other areas around the Get Digital that are as equally as important. You now are faced with potentially marketing your business online. And how do you reach your customer base in a digital way in order to get access to them? And finally, what are the processes you have which stem around invoicing and accounting? And we think of these as digital. I mean, it's, how can we help you move from a manual, inefficient process to being more online, to being more automated? And what are the solutions available to help you do this? And there are final important stages is around getting capital. Now, whilst we believe getting paid will help on the short-term financing aspects for you around capital, there are also the long-term aspects around getting access to capital. And this can't just be done in isolation by a bank. We believe that there are alternative lenders, alternative ways in which you can manage your working capital. It might be something like paying things in installments, or ensuring that you can extend the ways in which you pay your suppliers. But these are really critical in understanding what are the options that are available to you to help you get capital that may not have been traditional routes. And there are lots of other unmet needs. These are certainly just some that we focus on. And I think I would end the slide by saying, if you're wondering, how do I start? Where do I focus? How do I know what I need? We aim to work directly with SMEs and through something we call digital acceleration and a very simple diagnostic, we can help you to establish, do you need to enable a digital storefront? Do you need to accept in a way that's digitally ready? Do you have a challenge with cyber threats? How do you reach your customer base? Is it a marketing partnership that's required? Is it assistance with advertising on online? And other areas like, do you need training? So there can be some simple diagnostic ways we can support to help you to really understand this view. But there is no quick fix. We believe we just need to start, and we have already progressed support in the region in the way that we are supporting the SME segment. And this is thanks really to the commitment that has come from our global organization and a pledge of $250 million in support that we are putting toward accelerating the launch of some of our products and solutions via our bank products into you in the markets, into your businesses. And these are some of the opportunities that are already underway. I wanted to share with you. So very varied ways in which each market is going about how they think about helping the SME segment. And we're right there behind them with the insights and making sure we understand you as a business, understand the market dynamics that we're working with. So in the UAE, we are seeing acceleration around going online, selling online. It's not necessarily required to maintain physical websites and storefronts, but is there an easier way we can support you to sell through social media channels and tools that your consumers are using and that you can easily access? Qatar, there's a big focus around business services aspects. So companies are getting started. There's certain programs and business services tools that are needed. We think about the Microsoft Office packages and the way in which Google is now supporting businesses to come across as being established using their G Suite packages. These are areas in which it's probably a bit of a noise to you as an SME, and areas in which some of our banks are now supporting and accelerating how you get started. Saudi is all around the focus on low-cost acceptance. So whilst consumers want to use more card, there's a recognition that some of the traditional ways of accepting card may not have been as cost-effective as required. Saudi is our first market in the region that's piloting the use of acceptance devices on the phones, either through Android or smartphones, but being able to meet the customer in the way in which they want to transact today, which is using their mobile wallets or using their phones or even their smart devices. And in Jordan and Pakistan, mostly we're seeing a lot of more related to what we call our impact side of the business. The impact organization at Mastercard is mentoring and educating businesses around some of the unmet needs, usually financial education type tools. And this is kind of key in an overarching theme to how we do everything. We recognize that providing products and solutions are not enough. We must help when it comes to what does that mean when I'm in a cyber environment? Is there a risk that I now face as a business? And is there ways in which we can help from a training and education perspective to support you to be safe and secure? So I want to share now a few case studies, hopefully to bring to life some of what I've spoken about. And these are very relevant to the region. Let's start in the UAE as a partnership that we have in place now with Reinecke. Reinecke in UAE being one of the largest banks who services the small business as far as traditional banking products goes. They are now working and have a workable solution that can help you get online quickly. So the problem statement here was really around facing that fact that consumers are sitting in their lounge, in their home, and wanting to buy products, and not being able to necessarily visit the physical storefronts. And so utilizing platforms, this platform that we call Simplify, RackBank is now enabling businesses to be able to sell online, really simply taking pictures of the product, being able to post the product through social media channels, whilst at the same time allowing that payment checkout experience. So one end-to-end solution that can get you online and selling quickly. I mean, we hear lots of stories of this in the UAE. If you think about the food distribution companies that have had to go into the home to be able to sell directly to consumers, and they were faced with the task of building websites from scratch. This is one way in which the banks are now saying, let us help facilitate that move and need to create websites and to be able to sell to your customers directly. And we will expand on this. This is a start. Many other banks in the region are interested in the same model. And we want to make sure that the solution is low cost, that it's quick to deploy, and that you are knowledgeable of it and that you have the ability to access it. Then I want to share another one around getting capital. So some of you may have heard about a program that we are running. This is in Kenya. It is something we are expanding on. And it's the partnership that we think comes from leveraging large organizations. In this case, it is Unilever as an FMCG. So an organization that is very prominent in the supply chain of a small business. It might be Unilever, it could be P&G, it could be a local distributor or wholesaler, but someone who is selling product directly into a small business and helping that small business to buy more goods so they can sell more goods. And this for us is really around, helping facilitate get out of the cycle of debt and be able to access more funding to be able to buy more goods and sell more to your customer base. So we started in Kenya in a partnership with KCB, where we have gone into the micro merchants. In this case, 20,000 micro merchants are currently leveraging the solution and leveraging the product and utilizing information about the sales that micro merchant was performing over the last 3 years, how much they were buying, how much they were selling. We've been able to aggregate that data to facilitate the bank's visibility into what these micro merchants were doing. And that visibility is crucial when it comes to a bank's comfort around lending, when it comes to their comfort around onboarding a customer. And this has been hugely successful in the sort of upscale of products that these micro merchants have been able to buy. And the training that's gone around it is something that we think is crucial to how that program has scaled. In Egypt, we have quite a different use case, some partnership with Levi's that we've gone into and how they can help digitize wages to employees in factories. So it doesn't necessarily have to be direct payments. In this case, it's a disbursement type use case that we're focusing on helping them, and how to make sure we can disperse funds safely to an end staff or an end consumer who may not have traditional banking products. And so this is all around facilitating safe disbursement into the hands of these garment factory workers and make sure that they can get paid and they're not implicated by having to travel to branches or having to go out of their way to go and access that salary payment. And finally, and lastly, and where we really want to keep accelerating what we do is around mentorship of small business. I mean, this can go across any size of business, but in this case, we trialed in Jordan, actually working with a partner of ours called Mercy Corps, and working with companies that are already present in these markets and have a substantial footprint in how they can get access to the right platforms, and how they can really enable these events to come to life. So we partner, we support through the use of education materials, and ensure that the programs are a success in educating and training SMEs in areas of growing their business. So I think I hopefully have shared with you, I mean, there's a vast amount that we can do. Hopefully I've shared with you some of what is going on. To give you knowledge that there are lots of parties involved that are out there to support you and to help you to thrive beyond the current period that we're in. And I think we'll hand it over for questions.
Well, thank you very much, Virginia. That's a great presentation, and I think it perfectly follows on from Dr. Karim's comments about the focus on managing capital and liquidity. I was particularly impressed about your focus on getting paid and the need to provide access to capital that Mastercard is providing. But I think also your points about the digital acceleration, using, finding new channels for your selling and new tools for your operations, absolutely critical for small companies at the moment. So thank you very much for that, and thank you also for your insights into the different markets. I think that's quite important for everybody as they sort of re-strategize for the new normal. So we won't have time for questions to you, Virginia, immediately, because we're going to move on to the networking session. But I just want to say thank you very much for your time. So Virginia Reinecke, Head of Commercial Products for Mastercard Middle East and Africa. Thank you.